Hello and welcome to another D&D Stories. I am your host, TheWriter. This is a show where I sit here and regale you with all the tabletop gaming stories and remember when something cool happens. So we return to the Haunted Hotel, the place where Lord Tiberias Tygar has sent our four adventurers, Lad the PI, Farspark the Wizard, Tail the Cleric, and Harmony the Paladin. Now, having destroyed the Necrophidius in the basement and the oil ooze monster in the library, we are now in an information center because, hey, this five-star hotel doesn't have a pool like a modern hotel. But the lords and ladies that once stayed here surely would love a good book. And they're getting to think that having found Mr. Tumnus's journal, that surely, other information may be left about the premises. So what better place to start than the library? And having tumped over several bookshelves fighting the black jelly monster, or oil slick with eyeballs, or whatever you want to call it, they've kind of made a mess of the place. And there's a piano in the corner, and there's a couple of dried up flower pots with nothing left in them anymore. And there's dust clouds everywhere because of the hubbub of the fight itself. But they can see outside, and while they're picking their way amongst the books and trying not to sprain their ankles climbing through furniture that they've destroyed, they peer outside and they kind of remember, hey, we didn't visit the rock garden that's outside. There's a sort of walking path that hosts a series of statues, like a statue of a minotaur over here and a statue of a hippopotamus over there, and something pleasant to look at while you walk around the hotel premises. And they go, well, if Mr. Tumnus wanted to keep something secret, he probably wouldn't just throw it in the library for any guest to find. So why don't we go outside to the rock garden, just kind of check it out while we're out there? And by now, nightfall has come upon the hotel, so it's going to be pretty spooky to go out there amongst all the weeds and gnarled vines and long forgotten trees and plants that have overgrown into themselves into just a brown mesh of unpleasantness. And the stone path barely sticks up far enough to walk on amongst all the leaves and dried plant matter. And so they go all the way back outside. They abandon the library, and they've got Mr. Tumnus's journal, and they're like, while we're walking, Lad, does the journal say anything about the rock garden? And Lad flips through it for a while, and he goes, well, Mr. Tumnus was trying to create like a devil's trap, a large scale like sigil of power on the ground, and he couldn't do that inside the hotel. And if I don't miss my guess, then he used the rock garden to set his trap for whatever this monster was that stole his daughter Elizabeth and the twins. And they go, really? How would he do that? And they're walking outside, crunching amongst the leaves. The moon is full, the clouds are gone. They light a torch just to make sure they don't get taken by surprise by anything that might still be on the property. And Lad goes, well, all this is written in cryptic nonsense, so, Lad doesn't believe in magic, so he's expecting something a little more material, like bear traps or a large net trap or something that would catch whatever this creature was materialistically. But what he's reading is a spell circle. And spell circles, when they're like bigger than 10 feet across, are kind of a big deal. Especially when you're level 3 and you don't know what you're looking at. So the walking path winds back and forth. There's a statue of a knight, there's a statue of a minotaur, there's a statue of a dragon, and of course Farspark sticks his hand into the dragon's mouth to feel around for treasure and stuff. He finds a silver ring and a couple of coins because he knew to look there, because he thinks with a video gamer's mind. So anytime you see a statue with an open mouth, better reach inside and hope it doesn't come to life and eat you. But hey, it happened to work for him that time. And they stand in front of a great tree, And they look about themselves and they go, well, the path just kind of veers around. It doesn't really look like a giant like power sigil or anything. It looks like a winding, snaking path. It's like, maybe we can't see, or Harmony says, maybe we can't see it because it's so overgrown. I mean, if it's still here, then maybe he made the whole thing out of bushes, or maybe he lined up bricks and drew chalk on them and tried to seal it up that way. And they go, I don't know. And he looks at all the statues in the journal that are listed. He's like, well, there's knight, hippopotamus, dragon, minotaur, and he names down like 12 or 13 statues. And our adventurers kind of fold their arms and they look at each one in turn, and they realize that though the path snakes about back and forth among the hedges and stuff, the statues themselves are arranged in a great circle. And they go, there's our spell circle. Each one of these stone statues is probably imbued with something, like magnesium or silver or copper, any of the like alchemy metals, if you will, in order to hold a spell circle together. And they go, was he like theorizing magic? He was a 5-star hotel owner. Was he also a wizard? Did a wizard do it? Yes, a wizard did it. But Lad flips more pages, and it's just pages and pages of like math of him trying to create a spell circle that would hold something indefinitely. And they go, well, there's 13 statues listed, but there's 14 statues here. And they kind of look around and they go, okay, well, list them off. We'll find them. They start pulling vines off of these great big statues because they're life-sized. So they pull the vines and leaves off the knight, and they pull all the plant matter and weeds out from around the minotaur, and they unearth each of these statues where they stand, and they go, 13 statues, or 14 statues, only 13 of them are named. Which one is the odd man out? And they find one that is an angel with its head buried in its hands, almost like a weeping angel from Doctor Who. It's got great big wings. It's got the long locks of hair, the robe, everything. And they go, the angel isn't listed. Let's go examine that, because something that large wouldn't be, missed by somebody who as thorough as Mr. Tumnus. So they go over there, and as they're going, Harmony's like, we kick stones over, and we pull vines, and we're trying to get this thing out into view where we can see it. And they pull all the vines off, and as they're doing this, again, the clouds move, and the moon is full, and it shines a great light down on everything that they're doing, and they see that the angel's eyes between its fingers are huge and red. And they go, oh crap, and they back up a little as cracks start going down the front of the statue, and as the wings snap off and fall to the ground as rubble, and they go, oh shit. And then, pieces and bits and bobs start falling off this life-sized angel statue, and it reaches up with a slow, stony hand and grabs itself by the jaw and slowly snaps its own face off and turns it about to look at them with its glowing red eyes. And they're like, oh my God, back up, we don't know what it is. So they're trying to get to like that 30-foot blast radius, get out of that in case something bad happens. And up behind it, where the angelic wings once were, raises this big pair of insectoid, really thin and glinting insect wings. And it flaps them a few times like a great dragonfly, and then the rest of the statue falls away to reveal a humanoid insect monster with great big red eyes and wings with its arms have wings attached to it. It's hunched over. It's like it doesn't have a head. Its face and eyes are where its chest should be. So it's a humanoid shape with like from the shoulders down. Its face is mounted on its chest, and it screeches at them, and it flaps its wings once and launches itself into the sky, so high it turns into a dot and flies away through the cloud cover. And they all just kind of stand there looking up at it. And Lad has the book, and they're all just, well, we lost it. We lost it. And Lad flips a couple of pages and is going through all the math and notes and stuff, and he compares like the location of all the statues to where the angel statue was, and that was like the focal point of the magic circle. And he goes, guys, I think we let it out again. And Farspark goes, what? And he goes, well, we know the Necrophidius killed Mr. Tumnus, right? And they go, right. Well, he obviously succeeded. You know, whatever this red-eyed creature was, this insect monster, he trapped it here and then went on to be killed by the Necrophidius. We let it out again. We set it free. He was successful. We fucked it up. And everybody, oh, God, what do we even... And I go, yeah, you messed it up pretty bad. Could we have just destroyed the statue and killed it? Was it turned to stone? What happened? Well, you pulled all the vines off, and you kicked all the sigil stones that were marked around it, keeping it in one spot. It's almost like a fairy circle, with mushrooms, but he had stones with magic symbols on them, harmony, kicking stones as you went. Damn it! So Tumnus caught it, whatever it was, and our heroes managed to find it and let it out. So they go, oh God. And as it's flying away, Farspark gets the bright idea to shoot at it with his scorching ray. It's basically like a laser beam that comes out of your finger. Scorching ray! And he tags the side of its wing, and it screeches and spirals up into the clouds. Like I said, it gets away immediately. It's like, well, you tagged it, but you didn't do a lot of damage. And it, this bit of wing comes down, and they rush over and they pick it up. And Lad is like, this looks like a butterfly wing, but it's gray, like a moth. And then the table goes silent because they all know what this is. They look at each other and it's like, it's a big insect monster with giant red eyes that freaking talks to people, and it's a Mothman. If you've ever seen the Mothman Prophecies movie, it's basically like a higher dimensional being. It can talk in all languages. It can travel through time and space. It can do whatever the hell it wants to. It's an unnerving creature that it does not stop to explain itself to mere mortals or what its motivations might be. But at any time you see one, it's usually predating or heralding a disaster, like a bridge collapse or a building being destroyed or a massacre of a certain number of people. And Mr. Tumnus saw it. Supposedly it took his kids and the twins, and the Necrophidius killed like 30 more people, so that amounts to a disaster. The Mothman tends to show up right before a lot of people die, like all in one go. So like bombings, ship sinkings, bridge collapses, mass drownings, things like that. This thing is bad news, and they just let it out. So if misfortune follows it wherever it goes, Absalom is just over the freaking wall. If the whole city decides to catch fire, it's their fault. So it's an intelligent agent of chaos. It's not evil necessarily. It's just anywhere it goes, it carries the storm with it. It's bad. It's bad news. And if you look in, I don't remember which bestiary it is. Mothmen are, I think, like 6th level creatures. They're not to be fucked with. They're very powerful. They're very strange. They can duplicate any magic spell that they see. So now that Farspark has shot it with his stupid finger laser, now it knows how to do finger lasers, and it can fly. So they are just fucked on a number of levels because they let it loose and it left. And Lad just kind of stands there with his head in his hands, and he's like, oh, do we... Harmony, any ideas? You're the paladin. You know, it's a creature of darkness and chaos. Any ideas? And so, you know, Harmony throws the, what was it? Knowledge nature. Not knowledge nature. She had a knowledge arcana. Because it's a magical creature, so you can ask knowledge arcana. If you roll really high, you can get some information. Harmony throws it, 20. And I go, Harmony, you know, just from a random study night as a paladin, that Mothmen do not leave the premises of a disaster until it's over, like completely over. And because of this, you know, this Mothman probably isn't going to leave this hotel until it's restored. Because, you know, the whole thing fell into decay. It's like a 60-year-long vendetta of watching this place crumble to the ground. It's a pretty bad disaster. Plus the 30 people that died in the basement, plus the 3 children that got taken, etc., etc., etc. So, you know, going on 40 deaths that this thing has at least heralded, if not caused. It's not going to leave until the hotel is destroyed or until the hotel is restored. So, you know, you saw it go into the sky. It didn't go very far. And, like, great, it's probably circling up there waiting for us to turn our backs and so it can shoot us with Farspark's finger laser. They go, we've got to go back inside. Because if it can launch itself into the sky that hard, you know, it's going to be like a peregrine falcon. It's just going to grab one of us and drop us from 500 feet. So they scramble. They run through all the dead leaves and weeds and foliage to get back inside. They throw themselves up the porch through the double doors, slam the doors, they put furniture and chairs up against it. They're out of their league now because, you know, they were looking for like ghosts and, you know, they found the necrophidius. They're thinking there could have been squatters. No. Extra dimensional insect monster. It's way worse now. They're like, oh God, this was not worth 1,000 gold. So they start pulling curtains closed. They start putting clothespins on things to hold them closed so it can't see them. They, you know, Farspark pulls out the green candelabra. They light the candles so everything is casting green light. You know, they're freaking out now because this is well beyond them. Even if the 4 of them ran into melee with this thing, which they're not because it can fly. But it would be a 50-50 shot that this thing would just kill them all. And if it can duplicate spells, the harder they hit it, the worse it's going to be. So, and of course, while they're doing this, while they're throwing the curtains shut and jamming the outside doors and throwing, you know, locking the windows like that's going to do any good, they may as well be sitting on a bus. There's so many windows to this place. They may as well be sitting on a school bus. But they kind of peek out through the curtains and stuff, and Farspark is looking around with his green candelabra, and they think they've got it pretty well figured out. And they go, okay, well, it's out there, and we're in here, and, you know, as far as Harmony knows, it's fairly solid. You know, I mean, as far as we know, we tagged it with the scorching ray, so we know it's not going to come drifting through a wall like a ghost. It's just an odd creature. It has to obey the laws of physics at least a little bit in order to come here and at least touch us. So, you know, we're not going to do anything until we've got a plan, and they don't have a plan. They have no idea. They didn't know that the Mothman was something that was in Pathfinder, so they're thinking about the movie. You know, and if you haven't seen the Mothman Prophecies, watch it. It's a great movie. It's a great suspense movie. But they're thinking about the movie. They're thinking about the drawings that are in Mr. Tumnus's journal. The only defense they have are these green candles, and that's as long as they last, you know, up through the night. And it just now turned dark, so those dinky little candles are not going to last them until 8 o'clock the next morning when the sun comes up. And even if it did, it would just be back the next night because you don't see mothmen during the day. They're nocturnal like regular moths are. But Harmony is glad that they have a target now, but she's also freaked out like the rest. So she's looking around corners. They're checking for doors they haven't found yet. They're going room to room, locking the windows and drawing the shades on everything. Because, if it can see them, it can dive bomb them at 500 miles a goddamn hour. But they eventually end up back in the library, and they're like, okay, well, what do we do from here? Well, we haven't found any of the other creatures that Mr. Tumnus has named. And by then, they split up. And I got, oh, God, let's split up, gang. And I'm leaning behind my DM screen. Yes, let's split up, gang. But, they do. They split up to look for clues and other things. It's like as long as the Mothman's outside, they've got other stuff to worry about as well because there are a few more loose ends. And who wanders into the next bad thing but Harmony? Harmony turns the corner into like a tea room where there's like several tables and tea sets and little china cabinets with big windows and things. And she turns the corner and runs into the monster Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, stat-wise, is an attic whisperer. And an attic whisperer, if you can imagine the skeleton of a child, but replace the skull with a fox's skull, so it's more canine looking, and it carries a dilapidated teddy bear, and it's wearing like a pillowcase that's all shredded all to hell. And attic whisperers can imitate any voice that they ever hear, and Harmony just runs right into it. Like it's a solid thing. It's an undead, but it's a solid thing, and she runs right into it, and she just she sizes up immediately because she wasn't expecting undead to be wandering around. But attic whisperers have the habit of killing people, stealing their voice, and then using that voice to call for help. And when their allies or their parents or whatever it happens to be, they usually go for children. But whatever it happens to be runs to come help the child that is crying or weeping or asking for help. Then they get jumped on and get their eyes gouged out or killed or whatever it happens to be. And attic whisperers are third-level monsters, so it's more than a match for Harmony, even though it's half her height. So Harmony pulls out her sword and her voice is gone. So it uses its first turn to steal her voice. Now, I don't think that's technically what attic whisperers do. I think they just listen and mimic. But this one steals her voice entirely, so she can't call for help unless the attic whisperer calls in her voice. So she pulls up her sword, smite per day, boom! And it dodges, but she destroys a piece of furniture. I think she destroyed a table. And the china cabinet just kind of leans and goes over, and it shatters all over the floor. And, of course, everybody else hears this and comes running, so Harmony didn't need her voice. And as Farspark is coming around the corner, he runs into the twins. So there's two fights going on simultaneously. Lad gets caught in the middle because he doesn't believe in magic. He doesn't believe in ghosts. Who are these small children? So he pulls out his sap like he's going to spank one of them. And the twins basically palm his face and send him out a window. Just straight outside. And he's like, oh, God! And he ends up, in the bushes somewhere. So, and Tail runs in, oh, it's undead, turn undead! But he doesn't have enough hit dice to turn them both, so they have to fight. And Harmony's over there with the attic whisperer, just swinging her sword back and forth, because it's basically like a squirrely little child that's got, bony claw hands, but it jumps on her, just claws her face all the fuck. Ah! And she grabs it around the middle and slams it against the wall, like Sir Landon shield checked her, just trying to bust it into a bunch of pieces. But she just can't damage it enough. It's level 3 and she's level 3, so they're gonna tear each other apart. And meanwhile, Farspark and Lad are back to back facing the twins as soon as he gets back in from the window. He's like, what do we do? What did the journal say? And Lad, of course, flips through the journal. Cover me. Finger laser. Scorching ray. Pew! And it does a little bit of damage. Like it chuffs one of their shoulders, and they just kind of pat it out, and they keep coming for him. They're obviously strong enough to send them out windows. I wonder if they're strong enough to send you through a wall, because that would be worse and more painful. And it takes Lad a couple of turns to find the page he wants. And he's like, oh God, it's right here. Bring toys or run. And Farspark looks over and goes, there were toys in room 104. I'll be right back. And he takes off down the hallway back to room 104. And he takes the key and he goes through the metal plate. And he throws open the toy chest. And he just starts grabbing toys and stuffing them in his robes. Meanwhile, Lad is getting picked up by these 3-foot tall, ghost twins. They're just little kids, but they're ghosts and they're evil. I don't know. But he basically gets German suplexed, from a kid that's picking him up by the knees or by his shins, and he just flops backwards and sends Lad's face just straight into the floorboards. And he's like, oh God, and he's just got blood going down the front of his face. And Tails using holy magic, because if you strike undead with healing spells, it hurts them. But again, the twins are more than a match, and he's backing up into Lad so that he can touch him and do a holy spell. Meanwhile, Farspark is rushing back with his robes full of toys, and he throws toys all over the room. There's blocks and balls and teddy bears, and he just covers the floor immediately with toys. And the twins go, toys! And one of them picks up a handful of the building blocks, and he disappears. And the other twin picks up a sailboat with wheels that you're supposed to pull along the floor. He's like, toys! And he turns into mist and he dissipates. And they were like, oh God, okay. And meanwhile, Harmony gets sent through a pair of tea room doors, and, splinters of wood go everywhere. She's getting her ass kicked at this point. And this attic whisperer, throws the teddy bear aside, and it's ready to kill her and keep her voice forever. And as it clambers up her legs, there's toys spilling out of the bottom of its pillowcase covering. So it's a skeleton that was jammed full of a wooden train set and a ball, and it's trailing Child's toys behind it, just spilling out like guts as it claws its way up her armor, and basically sits to straddle choke her for a while. It's it's as strong as you are, Harmony. What are you gonna do? It's I dropped my sword and shield. I was I don't know. I grab its head and I headbutt it. I'm wearing a helmet. Clang. I was okay. You roll me a d6, add your strength. You both take that much damage. Harmony knocks herself out and stuns the attic whisperer long enough for Farspark to come tearing around the corner, and he goes, dodgeball, look out! And he throws this rubber ball at the attic whisperer, and it turns just in time for this tiny ball to get stuck in one of its eye sockets, and it gets knocked over. And it sits up slowly, toys, and then it vanishes into ash. And the scene goes silent, and Harmony's knocked out. Lad's got blood going down the front from his nose. Tails almost out of healing spells. Farspark has got robes just jammed with toys and action figures. He's the hell is going on? I don't even know anymore. Bring toys or run? My God. And Farspark, and as he says this, he kind of flaps his robes a couple of times to drop toys all over the floor. And Harmony kind of turns over with a moan because she's got -1 health. She's knocked out. Lad is nursing this broken nose while Tail is trying to hold still. I don't believe in holy magic. Hold still. Pass me a potion. You don't have magic powers. Shut up. You're gonna take this holy spell and you're gonna like it. He basically plays got your nose with his fist. He's like, I'm gonna repair your nose and use holy magic, so you'll at least believe in healing magic. Hold still. Ah! While this is happening, Farspark looks over to one side, and who has taken up residence in the tea room but the Mothman? And he's like, oh, and he turns to say something to his friends, but Harmony's knocked out. The other two are busy. He's not quick enough, and the Mothman grabs him by the front of his robe and pulls him into the tea room, and the doors right themselves from the floor and just snap closed and lock. And it's got the big, giant, glowing red eyes, and it hauls Farspark up with just one arm. And of course, Farspark gets a face full of its fearful aura. He's like, oh God, being held up against these tea room doors. And he's like, this is no place for children. And then it kind of tilts its head for a while, and it looks back and forth for a bit. The children are gone. And he's like, yeah, we gave them toys. They disappeared. Yeah, that's right, Mothman. And meanwhile, behind his back, he's already doing the motions that he needs to do to cast Scorching Ray. And he goes, your reservation is overdue. And he slowly slides Farspark back down to the floor. Farspark's like, I'm sure it is. Scorching Ray! Boom! And he rolls it, and he misses. So this big laser beam lances out into the hallway and blasts freaking the tea room doors down again. They go into thousands of shards. Tail looks up from where he's manhandling Lad. Harmony's, again, still unconscious. And there's already a new battle erupting in the next room. And Farspark's like, my finger laser missed, shit, and it's already seen me do that twice. So, of course, in return, the Mothman puts up the two fingers and is like, Scorching Ray. And blasts Farspark's ear, and, his wizard hat goes flying and bursts into flames. I'm like, Farspark, you lost most of your ear just now. You took maximum damage. Put a -2 on your listen checks forever. And he goes, oh God, it can aim for body parts. He's like, yeah, you lost an ear, or most of an ear, doing that. He's like, my reservation's overdue. I paid for my reservation when I came in. He's backing away slowly, so he's not in melee range while he does the motions to do another Scorching Ray. And Lad kind of looks over, just blood still going down the whole of his face. He's like, I took your money from off the front desk. And he's like, what? Yeah, when we came in and you left that money, his nose is busted, on the front desk. I took it. You took the 60 gold I left on the front desk to pay for my reservation? Fine. I pull out 60 gold and I throw it on the ground in front of the Mothman. And I say, as soon as you do, all the gold pieces, rush back into a small sphere of gold coins just kind of pushed together, and the Mothman holds them between thumb and forefinger, or whatever semblance thereof that he has. And the Mothman goes, enjoy your stay while it lasts. And it disappears, much like the other ghosts and the Attic Whisperer as well, taking the gold pieces with it. He's like, and Farspark goes, I keep forgetting I have to obey the rules of a hotel, even though it's a freaking haunted hotel. So he paid for his reservation, and the Mothman left. He dissipated. The crisis was over because all the children were accounted for, all the monsters were killed, and the dusky, overbearing atmosphere lifted from the hotel. A few of the candles up and down the hallways lit by themselves, and the tapestries shook themselves out of all their dust and grime, and the carpets started to shine and shimmer once more, and all the curtains that were drawn fling themselves open to reveal the moon and starlight. And I said, the overbearing mood seems to have left the haunted hotel, leaving it not as haunted anymore. And he goes, not as haunted? And I go, You can't account for everything 100%, but it seems as though the main threat, or threats, is gone. And they're like, yeah, we paid him off. But I said, yes, you drew the Mothman's disaster to a close when you accounted for all the children, because their lost souls were still lost in the hotel, and you gave them toys and they were able to be happy, to be at peace. And the attic whisperer that took Elizabeth's voice, you killed it, or you gave it toys rather, and it was happy for just that one moment, and that was enough for Elizabeth's spirit to wrench her voice free. And Harmony's voice returns to her as well, because the attic whisperer was done away with. And they go, all of the loose ends that were lingering in this hotel for the past 60 years have been nicely tied up in a little bow, so it is haunted no more, and the Mothman has moved on. So we didn't kill him? No, you gave him money and he left. And I go, oh, okay. So, that's one way to do it. You don't have to draw blood every which way you go, but you followed his rules. You followed the rules of the hotel, and you followed the disaster rules. It's like you set the disaster to be over. Everything's accounted for now. And they go, oh, that's kind of neat. They were happy it wasn't just like blood and gore the whole way through. He's like, he's a level 6 creature. He would have just fucking killed you if you hadn't figured that out. But, yes, our heroes, they spend a long time like dabbing the blood off of Lad. They throw Harmony up on one of the ancient mattresses in one of the rooms, and they hole up there for the night. They're like, we've had enough bullshit for the night. Harmony's unconscious. Lad's got a broken nose we're trying to send to. Dale's out of spells. Farce Park is shaken enough. If everything truly is gone, then we can rest for the remainder of the night and greet Tiberias in the morning. So they stay the night at the not-so-haunted hotel now. And when the sun rises, they rise with it, and Harmony has had time to rest at least a little bit and regain consciousness. Tail has his new spells, so he heals her all the way back up. Lad's nose is a little crooked, but, holy magic can only do so much. And, Farspark, again, burnt off a portion of one of his ears, so he's going to bear that scar for the rest of his life, plus the -2 to listen forever, just from the shock of magic being that close. But our heroes emerge victorious from the hotel just as the early morning gardeners come to go, pull weeds on the property for another 8 to 12 hours because there's so much to do still. And they go, well, Tiberias is probably staying elsewhere. Did he tell us where he was? And they go, yeah, he's going to be touring out and about in such and such locations. So with Harmony leading the way and Lad re-examining his views on the existence of magic, holy or not, they trail Tiberias through Absalom. And they find him, as you might expect, in the Petal District, because he has a weakness for all the nice architecture, because he said he was going to go there and tour about with Sir Landon. And when they find Tiberias, they find that Sir Landon is not with him, but the people that are with him are cause for concern, because as they see him like across the street, there's carriages going back and forth in this busy section of town. Upper scale neighborhood, but still people walking back and forth. And they see Tiberias across the way, surrounded by a large group of raven-haired women wearing dark red dresses with no backs and, V-cut necks showing off their cleavage. And Harmony goes, who are they? And I go, those are members of the celiacs. The celiacs were the people, and then Lad kind of leans over. I think those are the celiacs. Those are the ones that Tiberias said he didn't want to be involved with because they had demonic origins in their guild. All these women kind of look like the same person. They might be wearing glamour spells so that they all have black hair, but they've all got like this sexy like ballroom gown dress uniform thing going on, and they've got the little golden badge with a C on it for celiacs. And it wouldn't be any different than saying tiefling, except these women are completely human, but some of them probably wield demonic magic. Why aren't they arrested or executed? Well, you have to see them do it, survive, and tell the guards, and apparently not a lot of people have done that. So that, and there's a lot of money changing hands in Absalom, so you bribe the right guards and they'll look the other way when celiacs are doing their rituals or making blood offerings or whatever it is that they do. Their motivations aren't 100% clear yet, but they are very interested in Lord Tiberias, because there's 6 or 8 of these women standing on the sidewalk, just kind of all around him, like they just like saw him and came over to say hi, all 8 of them, and they're not letting him go any further. Sir Landon is nowhere in sight, so Harmony immediately jaywalks across the street, almost gets hit by a chariot, and then runs across the road, pulling her shield and sword as she goes. And I'm like, oh god, this is going to be awesome. And pulling a move from Sir Landon's playbook, jumps up onto the sidewalk, lands next to Tiberias, and shield checks the nearest celiacs woman, breaks her nose, sprays blood across the sidewalk, and knocks her ass out. Just blood goes everywhere, and these other 7 women, oh my god! And they jump back, just like, this paladin just came in and broke this woman's nose. And they're not there to freaking fight. They were not expecting this golden-haired horrible woman to come over and knock one of them out in one shot. And Tiberias is like, Harmony, what are you doing? And of course, as soon as this spray of blood goes by, it only takes one guard on the corner to look over. Hey you, stop right there, criminal scum. And of course, they run straight over and they arrest Harmony for assault on the sidewalk, and they take her to jail. And he goes, those women are the celiacs. Yes, we know that. Tiberias said he didn't want to be near them. Okay. They were standing there talking on the sidewalk, and you knocked one of them out and broke their nose. You're going to jail for assault, lady. Surrender your weapons. Coming with me. So they take Harmony to jail for just running up and freaking shield checking this woman. The other 7 celiacs are just kind of watch her go, like, who is this horrible woman? Tiberias uses this time to slip away and around the corner. Meanwhile, the rest of the party is just like face palming. It's like, Harmony, they're aristocratic bad guys. You can't just run up and hit them. You'll get arrested, It's cloak and dagger here, not shield and sword. If you ran around cutting down celiacs, you would probably be arrested for murder and sent to the gallows. So, whatever they were doing with Tiberias, Harmony never got to find out because she was taken to jail. So the rest of the party rallies around Tiberias, who has, again, slipped away from the celiacs while they're trying to pick their sister up, who is knocked out, broken nose, blood all down the front of her red dress. And they steal away to recover her. And they go, Tiberias, sir, I know Harmony. Yes, I know. Are you okay? And he goes, yes, they were trying to get me to come to their upcoming celiacs ball again. And Tiberias looks more annoyed than anything, but the celiacs are not a guild to be trifled with, so he had to say no in a very polite way, and he was probably wording it just right when Harmony jumped in. But, so because of this, he may have to attend this ball, if only to apologize to Madame Celiax, their leader. And they're interested in him, again, because he's very rich and very powerful, and his son will be too, but he doesn't want Beano exposed to the celiacs before he has to be. So if he stands in for his son, then all the better, but he didn't want to be there in the first place. So Harmony has sealed his fate. He must expose himself and probably Beano to the eyes and ears of the aristocratic, demonic in origin Celiacs Guild. And they go, "Are you okay? Where's Sir Landon?" And Tiberias goes, "I have sent Sir Landon to Frunz to retrieve Beano. In the meantime, it seems I will have to attend this ball and put things right, what your paladin friend has put wrong to these women." And he goes, "We could just cast a healing spell on her." He's like, "I don't think they would let you. Your friend jumped one of them and broke her nose. I don't think they're going to come near you while your hands are glowing." But the session kind of ends out there. He goes, well, they tell him all about the Mothman. They give him the journal. They try to give him the 7,600 gold. But he says, "No, you keep it. I have plenty of money, and that's all the more reward. Here's your 1,000 gold, so it's 8,600 gold now." And they tell him about the Mothman. They tell him about the black jelly and the necrophidius and the children and everything, and blah, 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 blah. All this crap happened. He's like, "Wow, there really was a lot going on at that hotel. I'm glad you've cleansed the place. Beano will be here in a week, so I'm glad there's less supernatural, cross-dimensional insect monsters to worry about. You've seen to everything." And Tail nods and goes, "Yes, I could probably bless the front doorway so that nothing evil could walk through or something." He goes, "No, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just, I thought it was nothing, and apparently it was everything. So I thank you, dear Pathfinders, for all that you've done. And I have but one more request for you before we part ways." And they go, "What is that?" And they go, "Why don't you come to the Celiacs Ball as well and kind of keep an eye on things? Because these women, it's a..." He kind of stops to explain that the Celiacs are very power hungry. They're into making deals with devils. Some of them have tiefling blood, so they're directly related to demons. That they throw their nets out for the rich and powerful like himself to expand their influence. And because he's resisting them, well, he's got a lot more eyes on him now. So partially for protection, partially just for surveillance, he wants our heroes to come and attend this upcoming Celiacs Guild ball. And they go, "All right." Meanwhile, Harmony, still sitting at the table, goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" I go, "You're in jail for assault. I don't know what you were thinking." And again, this is our daddy's girl paladin learning the ways of the world. And it's like, well, you're level 4 now. I hope that taught you not to just blindly attack people on the sidewalk. But Harmony has to use her cut of the 8,600 gold to get out of jail, to basically pay the fine, to get out and not sit in a stone box for the next 3 months. And Lad goes, "Why don't I spend this money, the rest of the 7,600 gold, to expand my office? And we've been through several adventures together now, friends. Why don't I expand my office into a guild hall?" And they go, "Oh, that'd be cool. You could make several bedrooms, a great room, an outhouse, a bathroom, hire a couple of servants to keep the place tidy and to go grocery shopping for us, that kind of thing." And he goes, "Yeah. And of course, I've got the Stronghold Builder's Guide, so I know how to make a building and how much it costs and all that." So, and they go, "It'll take X amount of time to do that, and the Celiacs Ball is, about a month away, etc., etc. Harmony's paid her fine. She'll be out of jail in a week. Beano will be here in about a week with Sir Landon escorting him from Frunz. So it seems that we've come to kind of a stopping spot." So Lad goes off to start the construction. Tail wanders to the nearest church to purify himself and take a bath and recover his spells and all that. Harmony has to go report to the Silver Crusade that she was jailed for assault. She's learning, but not as quick as everybody else. And, Farspark goes to the nearest tavern to oogle at barmaids and say, "You want to see my finger laser?" That kind of thing. Tiberias retreats to the nearest functional hotel to hide out from the celiacs and wait for his son to come to Absalom. Now, several things are happening all at once, but that was kind of the end of the haunted hotel adventure. So we will pick it up next time at the Ball of the Celiacs Guild. So, I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you'll stay tuned for more D&D stories. Keep gaming. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really love telling D&D stories, and I also really love eating food. So if you'd like to toss a couple of gold pieces into this humble bard's hat, be sure to check out my Patreon. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit the like button as well. And if you'd like access to maps, character art, and channel updates too, check out the D&D Stories Facebook. Keep gaming!